Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the 2021 USA TKD US Open. I'm National Coach Barbara Brand, along with my Poomsae buddy, Miyako Yerick, and we're super excited to bring you a very full episode tonight, right, Miyako?
That's right. This is the last of our semifinals. So after this, we'll get to know all of the top 8 athletes who will be moving on to the last 2 episodes in the finals. But for tonight, we're going to have super packed, action-packed episode here with the junior black belts. And we're going to have the males and then followed up by the females.
Right. This is a 3-snack episode, everybody. So get a comfy spot on the couch and let's go.
All right, and here we go with the first of our 2 divisions for the night. We have the male junior black belt division, and this is the semifinals.
Well, first we have Kiartan Newton Ho. He trains in Texas. He trains at Team Forge Taekwondo with Hyun Kim and Adelis Munoz.
So here for this semifinal division, we have 29 athletes being cut down to the top 8 for the final. So another massive cutoff here for this junior male division.
Right. All these athletes are so talented. It's going to be brutal who gets cut. So, whatever happens, everybody looked really good in the prelims. I'm sure it's going to look good in this round too. And everybody in this round will get points added to their rankings.
All right, looks like we're starting off this semis with Kumgang. Probably happy to have Kumgang first.
Right. So even the smallest little, pickiest little balance thing might throw off a student. So I should say athlete. So it's really good that they get multiple chances on this first run of Kumgang. So Kiartan gets a 6.73.
And he was on the cadet team last year for the Pan Am Online Poomsae Championships, where they won a gold medal, it looks like, at that tournament. And I think he's wearing that team belt.
It's fun to see Tae Yukchung. We really haven't seen a lot of it in the US Open so far.
Yeah, it looks like he has nice alignment on the round kicks. The front kick's a little bit low. Want to make sure we keep that chamber on the front kick nice and tight to the body so that you can get the full extension of the front kick. But Kiartan travels a long way to train with Master AJ in Texas there. So I know that it's difficult, especially during the pandemic, and a great job here on the first 2 forms.
To finish up that 6.73. So it looks like he's going to have a combined score of 6.745. Up next, we have James Santos. James is from New York, and he trains at Champions Taekwondo with his coach, Andrew O.
This is James' first year competing in the junior division, and he ranks quite highly in the sparring division. He was actually 6th in the USA Taekwondo ranking for sparring. So now he is in the junior division for Poomsae here, and he's a freshman at the Bronx High School of Science.
Well, he's really deliberate. He almost approaches each step as a separate unit in the form. So that's helping him keep his balance, I think, just focusing on one thing.
Yeah, very deliberate, but we might see a little bit Doc on the presentation side because he's losing some of those connections on the rhythm. Looks like he might have opened his hand up and then closed it there on that move. Want to keep those fists nice and tight.
Yeah, that's bummer. A lot of athletes do that. They'll open up their hands in between movements sometimes. It seems like they're just have a little relaxation moment or something between movements, but just a little bit too much. So James gets a 6.9 in Kumgang.
Shut.
And one of the things that we're looking for on Yukjong from the past World Championships just in December, I think, is that you want to be looking up at your kicks without moving your head. And then these round kicks are supposed to be just past the center line. So he's right on that. I think you want to be kicking just past it. Is that right?
Right, just past it. And he's doing a really good job of not swinging. A lot of athletes, when they're doing Taeguk Yukjong, coming out of those front stances, they kind of swing back and forth like a pendulum. And because his approach is like one thing at a time, he's able to keep his balance. So he's able to be vertical on those front kicks and not swinging back and forth. So it's a little higher score, 7.06. So he'll finish with a 6.980. Up next is Anthony Do from here in Sacramento. He trains at Sacramento Taekwondo Club.
Nice spacing there. The knee pretty high, but looked like as he was opening up, those arms, his knee almost opened to the outside. We'll see if he does it on these sides as well.
So you're talking about from this Hakari sogi here, being able to keep this knee in tight?
Right. So as that right hand is doing that down block on the first side, his right knee opened just a tad.
Right, wanted to go with it. So the challenge for these guys is how fast can you spin and not lose your balance, right?
Right.
Looked like he just had a moment like you had, Miyako, where maybe his tripod.
I feel like a little bit here and there is okay. Mine was a little too excessive, I'll admit. And so were you here with him when he was recording this?
I was. Right, so we're all masked up kind of on the screen side here. I mean, on this viewer side, 7.13 for Kumgang.
That's nice. That's our highest score so far for our first three athletes. And again, this order is randomized because we had two flights from the prelims and then took the top half, combining those two groups here into the semis. So different judges, different days, wouldn't be fair to use the order from the prelim. So we don't know where people are going to pop up here in the semis, but Anthony's front kicks are looking really great. And the round kick. Maybe a little bit of extra motion on that back leg on the stances with two hand techniques. So the leg shifting just a little on the second one, but lots of power. Really nice.
Okay, 7.33 for Anthony Do, and now into first place. The three in on, I think we have a division of 29, you said?
Right.
7.23, so anything can happen. So up next we have Hamza Kwazi.
준비.
And Hamza is from Illinois. He trains with Tiger Taekwondo with Boyan Kim. Miyako, can you see if is he about to age out of this division? There's such a span of like the athletic structure of everybody, and he seems on the top end, very strong.
Right. He's, I think, 17 this year. So I believe that this is his last year in the junior division. But yeah, I remember him last year at the Grand Slam in the summer of Poomsae. He was 16 and looked like a senior already.
Right. And that's the thing with this division, with the juniors. And cadet, oftentimes it's kind of rare to see somebody, really, quite strong and, all the way built. But with this group, juniors, we'll see a huge span. Guys looking like they just started to grow, and then others that look like they're almost adults.
Right. I think especially for him, because he is one of the taller athletes in the division, his horse stances are sometimes too thin. He needs to just widen them out a little bit and really take the presence in the screen.
Well, judges like, he got a 7.27. Yeah, maybe drop down just a little bit more, would help him get more grounded.
Stop.
So we see him looking up there at the front kicks.
And we don't have to overdo that too much. We don't have to bring our chin way back. So a little bit is enough.
So that front round kick, it was a little bit easier to see him crossing the line. I think he was just not quite centered on the second one. So it looked a little bit more in alignment, but I do think he crossed over.
He has a very strong right front kick. That one goes up there very easily for him.
차렷. 견해.
Oh, huge score, 7.7.
Yeah, he's done great in past tournaments, so I expect him to be up in the top.
So he'll finish with a 7.485. Next, we have Bryson Lavorne. Bryson is from Tennessee, and he trains at World Champion Taekwondo Fairfield Town with Cholun Kim and Gunsu Kim. He does almost like a circular motion when he brings that hand back. Interesting.
Looking very steady so far in these crane stances. Pretty flat too, across height-wise. He's not going too up and down.
Yeah, let's see on the spin. Yeah, spin stays pretty even. It's a little higher now on this side.
Mm-hmm. He almost comes up on that stomp to the back. He comes up, his heel comes up instead of staying low and going down into the ground for the stomp. So maybe something to work on there, just going kind of down rather than going up then down.
Oh, he gets a good score. Holy cow, 7.4. That is the highest score so far.
You're going up and up and up.
Yeah.
We can see that massive air track there in the background, and Bryson enjoys tricking. He competes in freestyle as well as recognized Poomsae. And he also likes editing cinematic videos, he says, mainly of Taekwondo. I don't think I've seen a cinematic Taekwondo video. Hey, Bryson, you should be helping us out produce the show.
There you go. So he has a U.S. team uniform on. Does it show on his record which team was he on?
He competed in the 2020 Pan Am Championships with the junior male team where they got gold, I think.
Yes, Bryson Lavorne. He got 7.4 now, a big 7.56. Sometimes when we see the scores growing like this, they just keep going up, 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 up. And he gets 7.480. And that's why some athletes, they don't like to go at the beginning of the round. But they don't want to get caught up where there's this like little wave of upward scores. This is Ryan Pang. And Ryan trains at KS Choi Taekwondo Center in California. with Daniel Choi and Megan Yee.
As he was going back in those back stances, that front foot was kind of drawing a semicircle out to the outside into the back stance rather than drawing straight back into the stance. So a little stance transition there to work on. You know, I was judging a tournament the other weekend, and I've been doing so much commentary with you, Coach Brand, that for the first couple seconds of their June B and the first move, I was just thinking commentary in my head instead of like judging. It's such a different thing to be able to judge versus doing commentary. But I have to say, I'm totally enjoying doing the commentary with you.
Awesome. Likewise. It's a lot of fun here to not just spend time with you, but everybody else in America, right? As we're all watching this US Open action unfold.
Right. We hope that you guys are enjoying. This is the second session of 3 of the US Open. Of course, we had the seniors and masters in that first session. Seems like weeks ago now when we competed, and now the juniors and the cadets. We're in the semifinal episodes right now. Make sure you keep tuning in. We have the finals still to come in the future.
And Ryan starts off with a 6.9. You know, you mentioned it being a couple weeks ago, but somebody called me this morning to talk about the senior US Open competition. So it's really nice that it's still, still available out on YouTube that anybody can watch and learn from at any time, and then come back to their coaches, or like me, just come back and have a chat about it and ask questions about, hey, I saw this in one division, but then when I watched another division, it looked completely different. So why did that happen? So I really like those kind of questions and little chats that we can have well after the event. Whereas when we go to in-person events, sometimes we miss so much because there are multiple rings going on at the same time.
That's right. And you're probably not at the tournament for the whole duration. You're just there for the days that you're competing. Or maybe, you know, if you have family members there, but you're watching them, you're not getting to see all the action. So hopefully, again, these are a nice resource for all of our athletes to watch and then continue to improve.
Right. And Ryan Payne, back-to-back 6.9s. Good job. He'll finish, I'm guessing, with Miyako?
6.9.
6.9. Right. Yeah, the other thing about a tournament is we don't get this view that we have here, right? This is a great view. So here's our standing so far. Hamza Quasi in first place, followed closely by Bryson Laborn, Anthony Doe, James Santos, Ryan Ping, and Kiart Knutson Ho. This is Mario Partello, and Mario is from California. He trains at May Taekwondo with David May. I remember his preliminary round. He's like really agile and quick.
Right. He had such a good, a good prelims. I remember his power. I do think he should continue to work on connecting certain moves. He has a little bit too much of a pause, really emphasizing each of the moves. But I like the power that he has and the kind of presence on the mat.
Yeah, he's very dramatic. A lot of athletes, you know, we have our natural personality, and it's kind of fun to see when it comes out in the performance. Some athletes are more expressionless, but Mario kind of wears it. Wears how he's feeling right there. Very intense. So he kind of hangs on to that end for emphasis, right? That dramatic pause.
Yeah, we gotta, hear that strong yell. Show off those muscles. He was the valedictorian of his 8th grade graduating class. And now he is 15, just entering into the junior division.
And he gets a 7.0. Ooh, look at that front kick. Watch this.
A little bit swinging, but really great height.
You weren't supposed to see that. You were supposed to see the extension part. But yeah, a little bit more chamber would be really great. Make sure it's that knee comes to the chest with the shin shin and foot kind of in line with it, as close to the chest as possible. It doesn't swing out. So we'll see that again right here, kind of leading out with his knee.
Yeah, it almost looks like a front leg stretch. So just want to really emphasize the chamber. He's very deliberate in almost everything else. So I think just doing a few weeks of training on that front kick, working on the chamber before the extension of the kick.
Good score on this one, 7.36, and that's the second highest score. Oh, it's third highest score so far on U jump. So he's going to finish with a 7.18. This is Eric Gunn. Eric is from New Jersey, and he trains at Apex Tiger Martial Arts. Gun.
And I'm trying to look through my notes here for Eric's scores from the prelims. I thought he was like way up at the top. And of course, he was our cadet national team member just last year, competed in that Open World Championships division where he medaled.
That's right. Plus, he has a ton of first place finishes in multiple virtual online tournaments as well.
Yes, I'm looking at his scores from Koryo and Paljong a couple episodes ago, and he had a 7.8 and a 7.93 for those two forms. So we'll have to see what this round of judges thinks. Kumgang oftentimes can be a somewhat lower score. There's a lot of opportunities for balance checks and some, little bobbles here and there because it is one of the longer forms. But our highest score so far on this form is a 7.4 from Bryson Lavorne.
Oh, and Eric is at 7.37. Eric was also on the cadet male team for 2020, although they didn't get to compete at the World Championship. He was part of that team.
Yeah, his kicks are definitely going to help boost his presentation in this form.
Every now and then, it looks like his foot hits the ground, and then his hand finishes after that. So just need to be aware of that. I saw that on a couple of the other athletes in this division too, where they put their foot down, not on this part, but usually on the midline of the tournament, midline of the Poomsae. So I'll point that out during the next athlete's performance of U-jump, but there's just a little bit of a time gap between when he finishes a couple of those techniques, but I imagine a high score. Look at that, 7.83. Well, that's really going to help him boost ahead. So we have Hamza Kwazi with a 7.485, and now Eric Gunn with a 7.6. This is Nathan Kim. Nathan trains in California with Taekwon Tigers in Palo Alto. He's coached by Haijun Jung.
So here we have a timing like the opposite of Mario Partello when he did that stomp with the yell just before this. He held on to it just for half a second and then immediately moved on, whereas Mario like really held that yell before moving on. So we have tons of different style choices here already in our first 9 athletes of Kumgang.
Really holding on there for that total 8 count. That's why it's so much fun to always watch Kumgang, to see everybody's different approach, and then what happens when things start to go off a little bit. Can you save it? Okay, good job, Nathan Kim. And he gets a 6.9, same score as James Santos and Ryan Payne.
Mhm.
Interesting posture. A little bit. So this is the part oftentimes where we have this hand and foot problem right there. Where the foot hits first and then the hand oftentimes, but we want to finish those together. Almost like he leans back with his hips, really rotating underneath like a little, like a bucket, kind of turning upward like a pelvic tilt, right?
Yeah, so it's almost like he's, yeah, I agree. He's like leaning backwards. The bottom leg really is causing a lot of that because it's collapsing a lot. So for Nathan, just want to work on standing up nice and tall in the front kick for now. Even if you lose some of that height, work on the base being very stable. Nice
Wow,
big jump here. Wow.
At 7.4. And he'll finish with a 7.15. This is Derek Forstel. Derek is from New York and he trains at Team Champions. Same as James Santos, who is our second athlete in the division.
Derek is another one of our athletes who is 17 this year. So he also looks like he's on the taller side, just like Hamza. Maybe a little stiff in some of these upper body motions.
No, I feel like his expression is showing like, maybe he tried the form a couple of times, did a few takes and it wasn't working out for him. And now he's like determined, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my balance just right. And sometimes it comes out to be a little bit tighter than we want, but we're also not falling over. So we'll take it. It's going to be a different ball game when we all see each other again at our regional championships starting in June, and then our national championships when you get one crack at it. That'll feel so good, right?
Man, it's gonna be so different.
So Derek gets a 6.67. So our US Grand Prix Series is going to be starting in June on the West Coast. Well, I shouldn't say on the West Coast, but for the athletes from the West, it's going to be at the Mirage in Las Vegas, June 11th to the 13th. And then we're going to follow that up with a central competition at Fort Worth Convention Center in Fort Worth, June 18th to 20th. And then in the East, in Greenville, South Carolina, at a venue to be announced soon, June 25th to June 27th. It's got nice high front kicks. So mark your calendars for those dates. It's going to be necessary for you to compete at one of those regional events, the one that's closest to you, in order to get to the national championships. So Derek gets a 7.1 for his second Poomsae. He's going to finish with a 6.885. Up next, we have Lawangin Katak from New York. He also trains at Team Champions along with Derek and along with James Santos.
So So just before, when Derek was going, you were mentioning there are these 3 regional tournaments for the Grand Prix in June. And since we weren't able to have those state championships earlier in the year, the Grand Prix is sort of taking the place of that. It is a qualifier of sorts to go to nationals. So if you do want to go to nationals this year, you're going to have to go to one of those 3 Grand Prix regionals.
Right, and you don't have to win. You just have to simply participate in the event.
We're seeing a ton of different approaches to the stomp as well on Kumgang. Some athletes bringing it up and then putting it straight down. Some of them more kicking like soccer balls. So I think that's just something that there is some amount of wiggle room on style. So watch everybody else, try out a few different ways, but I think we want that one to be a little bit smoother.
And Lawangin gets a 6.76.
Yeah.
So a nice lockout on the front stance, but on the back stance, after coming back, he holds that chamber a little bit too long in place. So we want a smooth drop into the next stance rather than a harsh hold rechamber. We'll get another look at them in a couple steps here.
His support leg is bent, so it makes it look like he doesn't stand all the way up. So he kicks really soon out of that front stance.
But tons of power on that
Yeah.
last line.
Yeah, really good power. And that's without a lot of core turn. So if you threw that core into it, boy, he would really be popping that. That's Lawangin Katak. And he got a 7.1 on this form following his 6.76. So that was the same score as Derek Forstel for Cadet and Junior. But he's going to finish with a 6.93. This is David Kim, and David is from Virginia at Ichthus Taekwondo team.
Set.
Oh, so he has a really fast spin. I was not expecting that, given how slowly he went back on that first bar. I thought he was going to have a measured tempo, really take his time. And then after this 8 count here, he lands and goes right into the spin.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Looks sharp. Good. A lot went right for him on that form. David Kim from Virginia, 7.13.
Step.
Oh, little interesting back stance, that first one. Looks like the back leg is almost straight in the front stances.
He has a little bit of a settle in the stances. So in the back stance, his body keeps shifting backwards into that stacked weight. And he almost never fully finishes that front stance before the front kick. So maybe just going a little bit slower in some of these transitions to really lock in the stances.
Right, or just explore what that feels like when you're completely locked out. 7.43, that's a good score to follow that 7.13. So he'll finish with a 7.280. Here are the standings so far, with Eric Gunn in first, followed by Hamza Quasi, Bryson Lavorne, David Kim, Anthony Doe, Mario Partello, Nathan Kim, and James Santos. Now in those top 8 spots, the cutoff being already 6.980, with many more athletes to come. This is Jeon Yoon Ho
준비.
from South Korea. Trains at Dobak Story with his coach Jun Lee.
Right, and we actually have all 3 of our Korean athletes back to back to back right now. So we'll get a nice view here of our international athletes, see what the judges think, and then get back into some of our American athletes. Slower on the spins, but when he finishes the spin, I can tell he's really pushing his knees out in that horse stance. So the finishing position is nice, just a little bit slow to get there.
바로.
Right, that really did, you're right, that looked like that was his priority for sure. Try to get locked out on that finish of the horse stance to get to 7.27. That is the same score that Hamza Quasi got for Kumgang.
시작.
Right, Hamza then massively boosted up to a 7.7. Let's see here what Yoonho Jun can do. Oh,
Ooh,
really
little
crossed
pike.
over.
Little pike in the body position.
Lots of power. This is like a totally different style here. Yeah. So on his round kick, he's definitely taken the note to kick past the center line, but at the same time, his body is crossing the center line. So he's caving like a V or like an old flip phone. They probably don't understand that reference. They're too young.
Wow, yeah. 7.7
Wow.
for Jeon Yoon Ho. That's to follow that 7.27. So he'll finish with a 7.485, and that is the same score as Hamza Quasi, just above Bryson Lavorne. This is Na Song Jun, again from South Korea.
Looking more solid on this line than the first line. Oh, of course, as soon as I say that. Another different take on the stump.
Right.
Yeah, he really brings that up high before coming down.
Yes.
Very
Straight
different.
up. Mm-hmm. So different core finishes there. 7.240. So sometimes a little short on the punches, sometimes a little over rotated on the torso. So kind of a little bit of this and a little bit of that for Na Sung Jun. So we get us at 7.24.
Doing a good job of trying to extend those front stances for his body. Nice clean form for the most part.
Yeah, clean, not super high kicking technique or super explosive power, but he gets a great score of 7.6. And he'll finish with a 7.420.
준비.
This is Choi Won-hyuk, also from South Korea. So the third of the South Korean athletes to go in this division.
Tons of power here. Whoa.
Yeah, completely different, right?
All three of them, yeah. And they're all from the same school, same coach. So sometimes just the way that your body interprets the style and the coach's instructions and the drills comes out totally different.
Yeah, he's a little taller, so he can use a little bit more volume. They all got the note about those horse stances. Really make the Poomsae nice and wide and low. Interesting rotation into that stomp too, completely different than his teammates. Wow, the finished position, really nice.
Even lower.
Choi Won-hyuk getting 7.57. So that's a significant jump over our highest one, right? I think was a 7.37 from Eric Gunn. Is that right?
Bryson
Oh,
got a
7.4.
7.4.
Yeah, that was huge.
But Eric Gunn got that 7.83, which is our highest score between the two forms. So that combined score to beat right now is a 7.6. Maybe a little bit short on some of these stances actually compared to the deep horse stances he had in Kumgang. Some of these are not quite as deep and long, but really nice overall.
Yeah, there's Choi Won-hyuk from South Korea got a 7.57 and now a 7.74. And finishing with a 7.655. So now into first place. This is Andrew Lee. And Andrew's from California. He trains at Sky Martial Arts Academy with his coach, Jun Yoon. So Bryson LeBourne had that really high 7.4 for Kumgang. Was probably loving it for like the next 10 athletes. Nobody was able to touch it until our last competitor, Choi Won-hyuk. But that must have been really fun to be carrying that highest score for so long in the division.
Yeah, we've seen some athletes have really, really big jumps from Kumgang into Yukjung, but instead Bryson was able to have a higher score on Kumgang. So his Yukjung wasn't, it was only 0.16 higher, but that combined score still has him right now, I think, in the top 4 or so. Although we are only 16 athletes in, so we're about halfway through the division right now. Andrew made the national team last year for the under 17 freestyle team. He also earned his 3rd dan recently, and he likes learning French.
Ooh. And he is a 7.0 for Kumgang.
I took a 1.5 years of French and remember basically nothing, but I am making lots of French macarons these days.
Oh, very good.
That's, I needed that French language training to help me make the cookie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes that heel is coming up at the end of the technique in the front stances. Just got to watch that. A little bit wide there.
Yeah, he tried to get back there. I think, a really good job of trying to hit his potential
그냥
in Taegukjang, try to reach up as much as he could on those kicking techniques. He finishes with a 7.14 for Taegukjang. And a combined score of 7.07. This is Sean So. Sean is coming to us from Eagle Taekwondo in Southern California. And his coach is Jung Hong Jin.
Lots of power in the arm techniques, a little bit jerky actually, but able to demonstrate a lot of hand power.
Yeah, if my memory serves me correctly, at the 2018 World Championships, he did this Poomsae in the final round against Korea, and he ended up with a silver medal in that division. That was a really exciting competition when he faced Korea there in the finals. That was 2018 in Taipei. The whole US team watching from just up above and really ecstatic when he performed so well. Now doing the same form here, but a little older, a little wiser.
바로
And he gets a great score, 7.47. So I think that's the second highest score, or is it? Second highest score so far?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we have our third Korean athlete, Choi Won-hyuk, got that 7.57. And then early on, Bryson got the 7.4. So now Sean coming in with
Really good speed on these front kicks and height.
that's how we've seen. It's like I feel like he's really trying to level up the power here for this junior division.
I think so too, and his control is very, very strong. He's showing all that power, but it's really not affecting his overall balance. So that's great. Sean got a 7.47 for Kumgang, and now look at this score, 7.7. So he has a 7.585, which looks a lot like a third right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is Gavin Zhao.
준비. 시작.
Able to see a lot of power in his hair shakes there on the first line.
Oh, good power on that stomp. Gavin trains in New York at Team Pro Taekwondo under his coach Jung Jin Kim.
Very calm in these crane stances. His spin, he actually does it like an ice skater or something. Like he's so ballerina perfectly on top of his legs in place.
Yeah, that vertical axis of his is just like real clean. Interesting preset for that. Very calm in these Hakdari
So
series.
calm. Very
Good job.
interesting.
Little variance in some of the stance sizes, but overall, really well done performance. Gets a huge 7.5.
Wow.
That looks like the second highest score for Kumgang, just after Choi Won-hyuk from South Korea.
시작.
Wow.
Nice height. He's very
Wow.
surprising.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to go back and look at the prelims because he is just crushing this. Wow.
Look at that guy right next to his knee, right at his chin.
So for Koryo and Paul Jong, he had a 7.33 and a 7.56, combined score of 7.445,
바로.
when I think that top score was a 7.865. But here he has the second highest
Sure.
score for Kumgang so far. And that was a
Comment.
really impressive Yukjong.
Yeah, those front kicks. Whoa, 7.57. And his combined 7.535. So in the top 5 there. So here we have the standings. Choi Won-hyuk in first, followed by Eric Gunn, Sean So, Gavin Zhao, Hamza Kwazi, Jun Yun Ho, Bryson Lavorne, and Na Sung Jun. Those are the top 8 so far. And that's all we're going to be able to take with us to the final round of the junior male division in this US Open.
We have 11 athletes left in that cutoff already at 7.42.
Yes, this is Elliot Kim from California, coming to us from Eagles Taekwondo,
시작.
coached by Jung Jin. Not quite evened up on that horse stance after that first turn.
A little bit of a curve in the back and maybe even a slight lean forward too on that horse stance mountain block. Yeah, he's just spinning a little too much, I think, and landing just behind where he needs to land on those horse stances after the spins.
Some days we have, problems like that, or sometimes we can't even feel it. Feels right, but it just doesn't translate well on the screen. You just have to be sure that he's ending up in a straight line. Look like a little bit shy on that one. So sometimes a little overturn, sometimes a little bit of an underturn. That's Elliot Kim with a 7.3. Boy, he still had a really nice high score.
Yeah.
시작.
Yeah, he has a slight lean forward in his torso that we're seeing in a few different stances here. So I think just needs to tuck the hips underneath, make sure that his upper body is nice and tall. He does have a nice click in that front stance right there.
바로.
Yeah, that's Elliot Kim from California. He got a 7.3 for Kumgang.
자리야. 경례.
And a 7.47 for Yukjung. So he'll finish up with a 7.385. This is Albert Jung And Albert
Chewy.
Jung is from California. He trains at Taekwon Kids with his coach, Kim Boyan.
시작.
Just slightly off-centered on those moves coming forward. They should be on the nose, and he was more on the side of his face. So just need to bring those in a little bit more on each side.
It almost looked like his arms went behind him.
Yeah, he whipped that hand around so fast. I think he just couldn't stop it in the right line. He had so much power.
He's putting a lot of power into these punches here. And for a lot of athletes, they're challenging because it feels like such a short punch. But he's able to deliver it with his core. So it looks really strong.
Ooh,
It was a little overextended again.
way
Looks like-
behind his back. How did he do that? Ugh.
Looks like that's how he wants to do it, but I think in order to do that, you really have to arch your back. Yeah,
Oh,
see how it is? He
man.
has a lower back curve.
I just tried and it hurt myself.
Yeah.
Ugh. Albert Jung, you can do a little less there. You don't have to pull so far
Right.
back.
바로.
Good power though from Albert Jung from California. He gets a 7.14.
시작.
Looks a little bit less grounded in this one. Some heel popping, short stances. He looked pretty grounded and strong in Kumgang. Just needs to translate that to this form.
Yeah, his weight's kind of coming up and down, especially in those first two lines. It's like he's coming up and then settling down again. It just needs to stay a little bit more level.
바로. 샷. 자리안 경례.
Robert gets a 7.33. So he'll finish with a 7.235. This is Ryan Bay.
준비.
Ryan is the first of three
Stop.
athletes to go up in the semifinal round from Elite Taekwondo Center in California. All three are coached by Kwangil Bay.
And this is Ryan Bay. Must
It
be
is.
his dad. Maybe, maybe.
Good possibility, or his uncle, or his brother, or his grandfather.
It's true. It's true.
His
It could
cousin.
be many people.
Likely to be his dad.
A little bit of a static tempo here. So I think just needs to be a little bit more comfortable with the form, be able to loosen up and increase these spins and a nice smooth hand motion, sitting a little bit too high here in these stances.
Yeah, real high. And again, that can change from day to day. Like if somebody just mentioned, hey, you're up a little high, I'm sure he could adjust it, but it probably feels low to him, depending on how warm you are, right? How stretched out you are, how many runs you've done before. So like if this is one of his runs at the beginning, then I could see how he would work his way down. But it was probably maybe one of the most balanced runs that he did that day. So he said, I'm going to go for it, right? So he gets a 7.1. So much at play when you can record for several days and have several takes to pick from.
That's right. For the US Open, they had a whole week to record the form. So I know some people, would do a couple of days. Sometimes some people would go 3-4 days, do an hour each time, 3 hours each time. You have no idea how many takes they've done, or what happened to past videos. So I do think that there is some value to putting a pressure or a time limit on yourself for the recordings and saying, hey, I'm going to do this in 1 hour, or I'm going to do 3 takes, and that's it, because we do have those in-person tournaments coming up super soon. In June, we have those Grand Prix regionals where you're going to have to perform live and you get 1 shot. That's it.
So that's Ryan Bay. Yeah, and plus, you do it for hours and hours. There's going to be some diminished returns there. So
Yeah.
it's better to do it tournament style. 7.3 for Ryan Bay. We do have some athletes that have been doing it tournament style the whole time, just doing it in 1 or 2 takes. Ryan gets a 7.2. Probably Ron Southwick, the most notable of that, drive up, do your 2 takes and go home. And then when he comes back to tournaments, he'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
This is Eric Chua, also from Elite Taekwondo Center, coached by Kwang Gil Bae.
Lots of power on these hand techniques on the first line. All 3 of these athletes, I assume that camera is going to be in the same place. And it's just a little bit far back. They look so small in the frame, but Eric here at least able to really impart that a lot of power is coming through on his hand techniques. Although
Yes.
I guess if we're talking about a live tournament in a ring, they do look sort of small in the whole grand venue of, massive conference centers.
Right, but our eyes have to adjust a little bit different on a computer, right? We have to kind of really focus in tightly to see him back there. And some Poomsae, definitely, you have to be back a little bit further. For example, choreo, where you have so many steps coming forward, you have to be careful. But with Kumgang, not so much. So he could maybe come forward another mat or 2, and then we can really feel his power differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that we're missing here. I'm sure he's throwing tons of power, but we just can't see it the way we could if he was a little bit closer.
Photo.
So that's Eric Chu with a good score, 7.33.
시작.
And that cutoff right now for the finals, which is the top 8, is a 7 point. Well, let me see if that's true. Yeah, 7.42. Eric here really trying to boost up from that 7.33. Look at these front kicks; they're just straight up.
I think we'll see the standings again after his teammate comes up, right? After Evan Huang.
I think it's every 6, so it'll be after the 24th athlete.
Devlin Gomez. Okay.
But we've seen almost everybody boost up on their second form by at least 0.2.
저. 그래.
So we'll see if Eric can do the same here and sneak into the finals.
Oh, and did go up a bit. Good job to Eric Chua, the 7.37 or take a cube jump. So he'll finish with a 7.35. So now his teammate up, Evan Huang, again from California, training at Elite Taekwondo Center under Kwang Gil Bae.
시작.
Evan is 15 years old. So just entering this junior division, it's the 15, 16, and 17-year-olds in this division. And Evan is a part of his school's robotics team. He also could sit a little bit lower in these horse stances. Just hold on to it.
Yeah, it looks like he comes up and then tries to go back down during the transition. That's hard.
바로.
That's Evan Huang from Elite Taekwondo Center with a 7.16 for Kumgang.
시작.
I think these back stances actually are maybe a little bit too long for him because he isn't able to fully stack his weight, and his weight actually is a little bit centered.
Oh.
So maybe start off by making it shorter and learning how to finish
샷.
with your weight totally stacked on that back
Cadet
stance, and then
Junior.
lengthen it out inch by inch to get it back to the longer stance that he wants to do.
Right, a little mirror work for Evan Huang. So 7.36, a nice boost in the score though. That always feels good. And he gets a 7.26. So this is Devlin Gomez. We'll see the standings after he goes up, and everybody's really excited to take a look at those. Devlin comes to us from Oregon. He trains at Happy Valley Martial Arts under his coach, Minky Song. Well, he looks a little bit high in this stance. That
I
looks
think we just can't see, yeah, we just can't see the bend sometimes in his pants. But I think he is quite low from that angle.
this one looks really good, and the horse stances look good. It's just that
Yeah.
one body, a little bit straighter leg.
Ooh. Hard to stop the balance there after the spins. For the most part, he's doing a good job of staying low.
Yeah, really good job. As the Poomsae went on, he seemed to get better and better at holding it together. 7.24 for Devin Gomez.
Nice job stacking the weight on that back stance after the front kick. That one's really hard because you're coming up all the way tall in the front kick, and then you have to pull it all back. So you can't open the hips too much, or your body won't be able to pull it back in to get into that back stance landed fully stacked. A little bit of piking. That's a very common thing we're seeing here with the athletes trying to kick the round kick past the line, but then while kicking past, they end up piking their torso forward. So something to just keep an eye on and see if that goes back to being in alignment. That was recent from the World Championships. We just have to make sure we stay up to date on that rule.
That's Devin Gomez from Happy Valley Martial Arts in Oregon getting a 7.26 for Taega Gyukjang. He's going to finish with a 7.250. So here are standings so far in the male junior black belt division of the US Open. We have Choi Wan-hyuk in first, followed by Eric Gunn, Sean So, Gavin Zhao, Hamza Kwazi, in a tie with Jung Yoon Ho, Bryson Lavorne, and Na Sung Jun. And then what was that cutoff? 7.4, Miyako?
Yeah, it's still a 7.42. And we have just 5 athletes left to go before we have our top 8 athletes in the finals.
Up next, we have Isaac In. Isaac has come to us from Arizona. He trains at Arizona Pride and World Taekwondo Center with Ruben Lawley and Megan Yee. Lots of power starting off.
Isaac, like you mentioned, from Arizona, is a multiple-time state champion. He made it into the finals in the Grand Slam and actually finished 7th. So we'll see here that cutoff, like we mentioned, is a 7.42 right now. And we have 5 athletes left, including Isaac. So this Kumgang is going to be pretty important here if he wants to get into the finals again for this tournament.
Yeah, I agree. But, you know, Kumgang really suits his body type. So he looks comfortable in it. He had a little bit of a head tilt here and there at the beginning of the form. Like you can see that right there when he turns to his left, his head tilts a little bit. But other than that, nice and solid. He gets a 7.4. That was interesting because it only happened going to his left, but not when he went to his right.
Mm-hmm. And that's a high score for Kumgang. We have seen most athletes go up in the second form. And so the difference is really anywhere from 0 all the way up to like a half a point higher for some athletes. So we'll see here, Isaac's definitely able to show off that hand speed and power, but with some of these longer stances, we're seeing that back leg and the front stance just not quite fully locked out.
Right. So with Kumgang, we dabbled a little bit in this division with 7.4 and around there. Only 3 athletes besides Isaac had been able to get a 7.4 or higher. So that was a rock solid score there. So let's see how he does now with Take a Cube Jump. He had a nice strong finish on that last line, really honing in on that power. Ooh, and a 7.44. You said, I think the cutoff is a 7.42?
Oh man, yeah, it is. So this presentation is a 4.27. That's going to be important here because look at that score.
Oh my goodness, 7.42. Up next, we have Connie Lee from Michigan. He trains at Team East and Miracles USA Taekwondo under Susie Kong. Interesting angle on the camera. Looked almost like he was coming downhill as he came toward us.
Oh man, I remember he must have had this form in another tournament because he gets so close to the mirror. How does he do this without hitting it? Ugh.
Or just getting like off put, right? Like it's just unnerving sometimes to be so close to a wall and then a wall with a mirror on it, or you're looking right at yourself.
He must have to pull that draw in tight because I would definitely swing my arm out and break the mirror. He's right on the edge on this side too, although there's at least not a wall right there.
Really good. He's doing a great job on this form.
Hello.
Sometimes a little over shoulder rotation for Connie, but in general, a solid performance. He gets a 7.24. He's going to really have to raise his game here on Take a Cube Jump to make the cut.
시작.
Oh, man.
I remember that. And especially in the space with that skilling right there, he looks like he's kicking it a moon, like he's going to punch out one of those acoustic tiles. Boom. Yeah, it looks like he's hitting the ceiling there literally because of the angle. Like if there was a sprinkler head coming down, he'd definitely, you know, get
Lots of
sprayed.
power, but his head stays so straight.
바로
Nice torso control. All right, here it is. We
시작.
need
Let's see.
above a 742 combined.
It's gonna be tough. Oh, look at that. He gets a nice, great score, 7.6. Do your math, everybody.
Oh my
What-
God. Wait,
not gonna
is it
help
the
you out.
same? Is it
Oh,
another? Oh my gosh. This is a three-way tie for that 8th spot.
And this is Lu Fei Sung, who's done well in past performances there. He comes to us from New York, training with Team East under Suji Kang as well.
Well, this is very exciting. We don't normally get this much drama right in the last few athletes here.
Yeah, it's not a done deal. We have some people sitting on the edges of their seats at home wondering if they're going to make this cut because we still have Lu Fei scores to come up as well as 2 more athletes.
Right, and one of them is Bowman Kim, who's been a top scorer here. So this 742 tie for 8th place, we'll see if any of them can hold on to it, or if Bowman might knock it out and push that up to like a 7.5 or something.
Right, we also have Matthew Raw coming up, and Matthew Raw is a very good athlete as well. So anything can happen here in the last bit of the round.
That's right, an exciting finish here into the finals. Lu Fei Sung finishing out his Kumgang, and he just started competition in Taekwondo in 2019 and already here getting good scores.
So we have part of the audience breathing a sigh of relief and hoping that his score will stay around there. And we have others saying, come on, Lu Fei, let's get a 7, let's get an 8. Let's get an 8 on take a cute jump.
Right, that would push him into the finals for sure.
Yeah.
Well, outside of Taekwondo, Lu Fei plays football, and he's an outside linebacker. He also runs indoor and outdoor track as a short distance sprinter. And to top all of that sports off, he's danced ballet for 8 years
Oh,
and
wow.
is an advanced pianist for 9 years.
Where does he find the time?
I don't know.
Just that
Please.
phrase you said, outside of Taekwondo, and I'm thinking, when does that happen? Well, he must be up all day, up all night to get all that in. 7.1 for Lu Fei Song, take a cute jump. And he'll finish with a 7.085. Not going to make the cut this time, but we'll have our Grand Prix series coming up pretty soon in June. He can try again. This is Bowman Kim
시작.
from Kim's K Taekwondo in Georgia.
A little bit wide on that stance, drawing back into the back stances, but good power in the hand techniques. Really nitpicky here because he is very clean as an athlete. And here we see that Team USA uniform, oh, not uniform, but belt. And he was on the 2020 junior male team at the virtual Pan Am Championships, where they won a gold medal. And he also got a bronze at the Grand Slam last year, the virtual Grand Slam in the individual division.
Little leaning forward on that, both times to the side. Seems to do better here going to his right. When he comes to his left, it's a little bit more awkward for him, but going to the right, he spins more easily when he's going clockwise. 7.3 for Bowman Kim. Gonna need a bit of a boost here on Take a Gyujeong. I think he'll feel more comfortable in that form.
시작.
Well, he's taking his time and actually doing longer pauses than I sort of expected.
팔로
But overall, very clean, good power on the hands,
Sure.
nice high kicks.
서로
We'll see how much he boosts up here on the second score.
Yeah, he hit 7.3 the first time around and 7.6. So right near the cut there. With a combined score of 7.45. So we're going to have some folks that are a little bit heartbroken here at the end. Up
Jimmy.
last, we have Matthew Raw, our last athlete in the division.
시작.
Well, you mentioned somebody, we just had, I think it was Lu Fei. We were like, how do you do all of those things outside Taekwondo? Well, Matthew Ra, let me list for you here everything Matthew does. He enjoys eating, sleeping, working out, tricking, playing basketball, playing guitar, playing video games and watching TV shows and movies, making TikToks with his brother and sister, hanging out and FaceTiming with friends, teaching classes at his family dojo. That one's Taekwondo. Running summer camps, performing demonstrations, etc. That's a lot of things.
Well, and he said he likes to sleep. I don't know what he's fitting out.
When do you sleep with all of
Where
those
did he
things?
find the time?
바로.
Ooh, last step a little bit short. Good job to Matthew Raw. Gonna get a 7.14 and now hoping for spectacular Taeguk Yukchung to send him up and above, clear into the stratosphere. Over maybe a 7.6 will do it just to make extra sure. Or how about we'll go with the 7.5.
Combined score though, right? So it would have to be like a
Right.
7.8.
100.
That cutoff, we had 3 of those 7.42s. I think they all got knocked out by Bowman Kim 7.45. But I don't know if that cutoff is a 7.45 or if there's anybody in between the 7.42 and the 7.45.
I don't know.
Bro.
It's going to leave a mark, though. It's going to leave a little bit of an emotional scar.
Well, that means they're
Everybody.
going to go home, train really hard,
Yeah.
and come back ready at that Grand Prix regionals in June.
He gets a 7.33. So all these guys, such good athletes. And just not quite enough this time around. But a lot of these are seasoned athletes. They'll be back. In first, at the end of this semifinal round for the male junior division, this US Open, Choi Won-hyuk in first, followed by Eric Gunn, Sean So, Gavin Zhao, Hamza Kwazi, Jong Hyun Ho in that tie, Bryson Lavorne, and Bowman Kim stealing that last spot. And then look, we have 3 at that 7.42.
Well, congratulations. This was a tough cutoff here into the finals, even a tough cutoff to make it into the semis. And a reminder that all of the athletes competing in the semis today will be getting ranking points. So after the tournament is over, give it a couple weeks for USA Taekwondo to update that list, but then you can go onto the website and check and see what your new ranking is in the US.
We're going to continue with the female junior black belt semifinal. Here are our referees. And up first is
Jimmy.
Alyssa Shim. Alyssa
Shut.
is from Bayside Champions Taekwondo. Seen quite a few athletes from this club. She's trained by Andrew Oh. And they're in New York.
Well, this is exciting. We haven't seen, I don't think, any Sajang.
Yeah, this is great. We have a lot of athletes that could really benefit by studying this division's performances for sure. We're going to see changes in tempo, rhythm,
Volume of motion.
approach with the
Hello.
side kick timing. It's going to be great.
And it's a nice, quick, short form.
Right. And she has a 7.670.
That is a massive score to kick us off here. Wow.
Oh my gosh, we're going to go over an 8, Miyako.
I'm ready.
Stop.
You can do it, ladies. Oh, and here we go with Kumgang. Man.
Well,
So I was all excited we had a short form since we have 39 ladies in the semifinals, but Kumgang is going to switch the tempo up here. It's going to take a little bit longer. It's one of the longer forms, especially out of their 8 competition forms.
So Miyako, because there's so many athletes in the semifinal round, we have to get to 8. Are they going to make it? Are they going to extend it and make it 15 to get to go into the finals, or 20, or how's that work, Miyako?
The finals is always 8.
Always 8.
Always just the top 8. I think no matter at nationals, you know, sometimes they'll have 120 cadets or something, and the finals is 8.
Yes. So again, it's probably going to be another brutal cutoff following the junior male division.
Yeah, but how exciting was that? It was exciting for us. I'm sure it was a little nerve-wracking for some of those athletes, but I
And
hope
their
you all
parents.
enjoyed.
And
Right, and the parents.
their grandparents and their fans across the country and the world.
Well, Alyssa is looking
Hello.
very strong here. Totally different forms here. Sajong, quick side
Sure.
kicks. We got those front kicks, and now into Kumgang, low, grounded, smooth. So let's see how she does on Kumgang. Wow, another great score.
7.6. Yeah.
So for the guys, we actually saw the Kumgang was usually significantly a lower score, but here Alyssa opening up very strong across both.
And finishing with a 7.635. Up now is Caitlin Marie Reclusado.
시작.
Caitlin is from California. And her coach is Sangjae Lee.
Great kicks right up front, staying low in those stances. And then up tall here.
Looking really sharp there. She trains at Bosticon, USA in California. That's Caitlin Reclusado. 7.8.
Wow. So she has represented the US at many events around the world. Recently, she won the Lentz tournament. Not only did she win her division, but she won the grand champion of all of the female individual divisions. So she's going to come out here strong. We know that 7.8 is probably going to be one of the high scores for the division. But again, we're taking the top 8 into finals, and we don't know who else is in this semis, who else might come out with another high score and challenge her here.
She had an interesting take on the way back from that first line. Her blocking technique was really close to her and tight to give her a lot of power. She has no trouble in this Haktari Sogi. Really trying to turn on the power at the end of that punch. And oftentimes you see a lot of wobble. She has a little bit of movement, but very little. Yeah, nice level turns. This is
Yeah,
the one where I
so
always see
smooth.
people, a lot of athletes go up and then come back down on those turns.
바로.
So Caitlin got a 7.8
샷.
for Taegut Sajong. Let's see how she does here with Kumgang. 7.7, just a little lower. And I think we might see that happening with a lot of the athletes in this division.
Mhm.
They're so familiar with Sajong, right? And then they get to Kumgang and 7.750 for Caitlin. Up next, we have Piper Kendall from California. She trains with Team M with her coaches An Hui and Long Wen.
I was going to say we're opening up here with just 3 heavy hitters, but I remember this whole division just being so strong in the prelims. So we're going to have to see here. I think this is just going to be really tight. We're going to have high scores all the way across the division. And it's just due to all of the hard work and training that all of these ladies are really putting in.
Ooh, nice score, 7.6. We're definitely in the ballpark for Piper Kendall.
시작.
Good timing on this slow motion movement. And trying to really get the power up on the
바로. 시작.
Piper Kendall finishing up Kumgang. She had a good score, 7.6 for Kumgang. And now, very nice, 7.77. Sorry, she got 7.6 for Sajang, and now 7.77 for Kumgang. Gets her a 7.685 combined score, now in the second place. This is Yuri Paige Kim from California. She trains with the Wongale USA.
시작.
And her coach, Sangjae Lee.
Piper just did something that none of the guys were able to do, which is get a higher score on Kumgang. So we'll see how Yuri here now does. Again, another athlete with the Team USA uniform on. Looks like the belt too. So been on the team in one of the divisions or another. So these first 4 athletes, geez, were already opening up so strong.
Yeah, Yuri's was a member of the 2020 US team in the cadet team division, along with Juliana Candelaria and Lana Moraleda. So she scores a 7.67 here, the same score as Alyssa Shin did, our first athlete out.
시작.
Nice and calm start.
Well, she has a ton of results here. Not only does she do well in cadet team, which you mentioned, although now, of course, she's a junior here for the first year. She also has medaled at different tournaments for individual, and she's also done pair with Eric Gunn, who we just saw finish quite well in the junior division. And she went to the Wuxi China World Cup Poomsae Championship in 2019 with that team where they medaled there. I think they got a gold, and she's medaled with Eric Gunn in pair as well.
Yeah, she was also pair partners with Sergio Paez, 2018
Photo.
at the World Championships in
Mm.
Taipei. So quite a lot of experience for
Yep.
Yuri Page Kin.
Cadet
So she
Junior.
started off with Tegu Sajang, 7.67. Looks like everybody, 7.7 for her Kumgang. Looks like everybody's best friend is Sajang in this division. I really like that form. She's gonna get the exact same scores, 7.68 Piper Kindle. This is
준비.
Samantha Valdez and Kim Boya.
시작.
Wow, so already in the first 4 athletes, we have a tie right now for second place. But we are just getting started. This is Samantha. She's the 5th athlete. And we have 39 women in this division here in the semifinals. After Samantha and then after the 6th athlete, we'll get to take a look at those standings. We'll see them every 6 athletes. And then we'll see whether Piper or Yuri had the higher presentation score.
And that power that Samantha turned on really made an impact, 7.87. She put every single muscle group in her body into each one of those techniques.
That's the highest score that she just got. She just beat multiple, not only national team members, but world medalists here, Samantha Valdez.
So let's see how Kumgang goes for her. Hopefully she can keep it up just as high. A little leaning forward there. That Samantha Valdez got her highest score so far on Taeguk Sajang with a 7.87.
차렷. 경례.
And also a strong performance on Kumgang, gonna get a 7.77, same score as Piper Kindle got, our 3rd athlete out. And so now into first place, Samantha Valdez with a 7.820.
Wow, well, we're starting out here with just tons of drama. This is so exciting.
Yeah, this is Allison Chung. And Allison comes to us from California also. She's at O's Taekwondo Center, Team Elite USA, coached by Andrew O.
I think we mentioned this in the prelims, but I miss her living room. She looks a little bit smaller here in the dojang than she does in the house, where she just fills out that room and takes up the screen so well. But she looked really good in the prelims, strong here, clean as well.
Wow, 7.74. Everybody's scoring very high in this round so far.
Nice and low here with a high knee.
Yeah, really good job on the transition to get there.
She has great composure during this form. She doesn't look stressed out about Kumgang at all.
So this is probably her highlight here. This position here coming out nice and slow. Sometimes on the spins looks a little bit up and down in some of the motion. So she'll finish with a 7.535. Here are standings so far in the female junior semifinal.
준비. 시작.
This is Ellie Yu from New York. Look at that dip. Training there at Team Champions Bayside with Andrew O. Nice reach on the front kick. She kind of leans into it, kind of dips a little bit on the support leg to get that front kick up there.
바로.
And Ellie will start off with a 7.54.
시작.
So Ellie has a slightly different approach there on the pickup where she kind of pulls that leg across and then up. So you get kind of a swooping motion rather than a direct line into that crane stance. That is the only one that goes that way since all the other ones are transitions and pickups. Here's the last transition into that crane stance.
바로. 쉬어.
Okay, that's Ellie Yu. She scored a 7.54 for her first form, and now a bit of a drop, 7.27 for Kumgang. And she's going to finish with a 7.405. Up next, we have Aubrey Yamashita from California. She trains at Sky Martial Arts Academy with Jun Yoon and also coached by Hui Long and Ong Min.
Well, she had pretty good extension on those side kicks, but it looked like she maybe came down not quite straight in a line. That step between the two side kicks coming towards the camera is a really interesting, very hard transition that I feel like maybe athletes don't think about too much. They just think about the side kicks, not how you step between the side kicks, but that should all come down that same center line.
Right, a couple of details on the stance work. So she's going to get a 7.33.
시작.
She was very centered coming forward on those hand techniques on the center line of the body, but coming backwards, I think she almost turned her shoulders too much. So she sort of hid, and then that front hand came very far across, maybe a little too far coming back.
Yeah, I think maybe the stance work going back can take a little bit of extra time. Maybe look at some of the detail work there. Looking really good here though, on the slow motion movement. Feeling nice and calm, even gave herself a breath at the finish of that 8 count. Look, she looks a little bit more, actually a lot more solid on these Haktari and horse stances than on the back stances. That's interesting.
She also has a different spin too. She almost completely spins, faces the front, and then steps across. That is one thing we got to see with the guys who just went. We saw a whole bunch of different takes of kumgangs. So now we'll get to see all of the girls doing their takes.
풀어.
Not quite in line there on that
Little
last stance.
slow. Almost got there. That's Aubrey and Mashta. She got a 7.33 for Taeguk Sajang. You know, usually that'd be a fantastic score in the semifinal round and a 7.37, but there are a ton of high scores already. Aubrey's going to finish with a 7.350. And up next we have Irene Ho.
준비.
Irene is from Colorado. She trains with Dwangale USA under her coach, Samjae Lee.
Some of these stances a little bit inconsistent. Some front stances a little wide, some back stances short, some long. So I think just like you mentioned, starting from the ground up and start cleaning up some of the accuracy for these stances.
Yeah, one easy thing, she could just keep her hand closed. She a couple of times opened her hand and then closed it as she was going to do the hand technique. But look at that score, 7.5. Pretty good score for Taeguk Sajang above Aubrey Yamashita.
시작.
Right, and Irene says that she used to play the clarinet, flute, piano, guitar, and drums. That's a lot of things that I don't know if those are all in the past tense, or maybe she's started going into some new interests, which include drawing and hanging out with her friends and family, and of course, the athlete favorite, getting boba.
Of course.
I'm always going to remember Renee Zhao from the female senior 1 division, who not only likes boba, but likes it so much that she makes her boba. So all you juniors, you got to get up to Renee's level and make your own boba.
I'd like to try her boba. See how that.
She lives out there in California now.
Oh.
Those mountain blocks, that backhand dipping just a little bit low for Irene, not as high as the front hand. So there, that left hand a little low.
Thigh up nice and high. No problem balancing there. Right foot just turned out a little bit on those last couple of steps.
시작. 차렷 경례.
So that's Irene Ho. She got a nice strong 7.5 to start off, and now a 7.07. She's going to finish with a 7.285. Up next, we have Jamie Aguiluz.
Wow, look at these pants.
시작.
These are like some high waters. They probably don't know what those are either.
Yeah. This is a different look. Oh, back stance a little crossed over.
Yeah, knees caving in a little bit on the back stances, but she's pushing the tempo here. She's pushing the height of her kicks. This will be an interesting one to see the score on.
Right, really good power in a lot of places. Some good moments of the form for sure. She gets a 7.44, so just under Irene Ho and above Aubrey Mashta.
시작!
Nice high knee, but that foot seems quite tense in her crane stance. It's not a relaxed angle there. She's like really squeezing everything to hold on to that stance. We notice the little things.
Yeah, the very, very little things. A little bit easier on this one. So some tension in the upper body. This one probably the best of the three. She looks happy right here. She's got one more to go. Looks almost like she's just bending forward just a little bit.
바로!
Nice wide horse stance, knees out though.
Yeah,
Junior.
very evident with her dobok being the type it is. She really gets that across to the audience. 7.44 matching scores for both.
That's the same exact score. I actually wrote down the accuracy and the presentation. It's exactly the same.
This is Sky Mitchell from
준비.
California. Sky trains with Team Kim Boyan.
시작.
Nice side kicks.
Yeah, really good extension on all of these.
Maybe
Okay.
a slight hunch on some of those front kicks on her back, but really clean.
바로.
Yeah, almost locking out on the front stance, is almost there. Just a little bit more extension to go. Sky Mitchell gets a 7.47. It's tough because all of these athletes in this division have really nice extension on their kicks, really great flexibility, and everybody loves Sajang. And then they get to Kumgang, it's like they're just trying to, I don't know, make it clean, make it look well timed and calm, but it's a bit of a challenge.
Right, she took a quick approach coming back on the back stance is the first line, and now here the second crane stance, that knee is a little bit low.
Yeah, this left leg does not want to behave, for goodness sakes. She's trying everything to get it to bend just a little bit more.
Also, we've seen quite a couple of the junior athletes when that mountain block, they pull it way back behind their body line. I feel like it just has to be in line with your head, not behind it.
Right, so on this one, she's decided to just go up a little bit higher to keep her balance, right? We all do that, right? Like, okay, how are we going to make the adjustment? So she came up just a little bit higher on that right Haktari Shogi.
차렷.
So Sky Mitchell got a
정답.
7.47 for Taeguk Sajang. And a 7.3 for Kumgang. So Sky will finish with the 7.385. Up next, we have Rebecca Ponte from Spirit Taekwondo in Nevada. Her coach is Yasmin Brown.
시작.
Really trying to show off those finishes before she makes that transition. So I want to see how the score goes because her kicks are going really nice and high, but then she's freezing the end. So I want to see what they think about that type of connection there.
바로.
So she's going to get a 7.3. So I think with just a little bit more connection on those transitions, she would have scored much higher because those kicks were very nice.
시작.
Well, Rebecca is the vice president of the Key Club at her school, and she enjoys volunteering and planning projects. She's also learning, how to be a good leader, and she does community service not just through the Key Club, but also with the National Honor Society, which she's a member of. And this is really cool. She's the coach's assistant for the varsity football team at her school.
Cool. Oh, wow. That is great. You learn all those tactics and strategies out there
Yeah.
on the gridiron. But tell me more about this Key Club.
Do you guys have the Key Club? Well, obviously she's out there on the West Coast. But so the Key Club is like a volunteering organization, and they do a lot of acts of service, community service, cleaning up neighborhoods and parks, tutoring. It really depends on the club itself and who's in charge of it. And since she's the vice president, I'm sure she has a big say in what they do.
That's great. So Rebecca got a 7.3, and then now a little bit higher. That's got to feel good to get a bump on Kumgang. So Rebecca Ponte's going to get a 7.32. Here are our standings so far. We have Samantha Valdez in first place, followed by Caitlin Reclusado, Piper Kindle, Yuri Page, Kim, Alyssa Shim, Allison Chun, Jamie Agaluz, and Ellie Yu. Those are our top 8 so far, so our cutoff is now 7.405. Yeah, it's huge. But what was the male junior? Was it about the same, was it not?
That male cutoff with 29 athletes was a 7.42.
Yeah. So we're at
But we're-
7 already.
We're 12 athletes in here for the girls.
This is Emily Quack, and Emily is from Texas. She trains at USCR Taekwondo through coach Gi
She has nice high front kicks. Quick tempo.
바로.
and gets a nice score, 7.5.
시작.
Ooh, quite turned on that.
Yeah, that is
Fun.
a very twisted angle there. On
Yeah,
those.
usually maybe like around a 45. Is that what you do, Miyako?
Yeah, 30, 45.
Right. She's up pretty high on these horse tests. I think she could go lower. She looks very athletic. She could get down a bit.
I think they're just a little bit thin. She could widen those stances.
Did you say they're thin?
They're thin. Her horse is too thin.
Okay.
It's what I tell my college kids. When they join Taekwondo for the first time and we call it a horse stance, and they're like, why is it a horse? And you're like, well, you're sitting on a horse, you're riding the horse. It's a horse riding stance. But her horse is too skinny. There are fatter horses out there. They're better to ride.
So just maybe a little bit more length in that, a little bit wider. Just go out a little bit wider. You'll feel a little bit more comfortable. 7.26 for Emily. I think that's what made the difference. If those stances just get a little wider and a little bit lower. I think that score will pop right up for her. She's going to finish with a 7.38. Up next, we have Ahana Bochandani. Look at this spot. I love it.
Yeah, this is such a great setup. Parents, coaches, whoever did this, thank them profusely. Nice control. Wow, low here.
Yeah, she is working hard. Putting everything into every movement, giving herself time. She looks quite serious about this. She really put a lot of effort into that. Look at that score, paying it off. So she got a 7.8. You know, Caitlin Reclusado also got a 7.8, and then Samantha Valdez, 7.87. So she's in good company with that 7.8.
Yeah, and I started jotting down some of the accuracy and presentation. Really, that score is coming from the presentation. She got a 3.17, which is not the highest accuracy we've ever seen, right? 3.2s, 3.3s are somewhat common, but she got a 4.63 on presentation. That is high.
She had an interesting choice of how she did those blocks moving back on that first line. She almost makes a circular motion with those hand techniques, like almost dipping down and then coming around. I don't see that very often. Really interested in seeing how the referees look at that, although we never know exactly what those referees are thinking on each one of the lines. It'd be great if they printed it out, their summary for us. Very solid performance from Ahana Mochandani. Really took her time, made sure that she felt comfortable, was never rushing anywhere in that performance. And she gets a 7.76. That'll have her finish with a 7.78. This is Victoria Sue. And Victoria is from California. She trains with the Wangale USA and her coach, Songjay Lee. So Ahana Mochandani, where did she end up? Is that around second?
I think she's in second by 3/100ths of a point right now.
Victoria looking really strong through Taegeuk Sajang here. We'll expect another high score, 7.73. So that was a really good starting score. Hopefully she can keep it up or even go higher. This Kumgang. A lot of different interpretations on the blocks on that line. She cut hers a little bit short. Ahana made hers very circular. Very interesting.
She has really quick spins and then a quick pickup on her crane stance.
She's also a little narrow on these stances and a little high. So interested in seeing this score. She does keep her balance quite well and spins very fast. So we'll see how this turns out for her. This is a very good position for her, this Haktari Sogi.
바로 샷 차렷 경례
And 7.5 for Victoria Sue. She's going to finish with a 7.615. This is Grace Rue.
준비.
Grace is from California. Also, she trains at Eagles Taekwondo with her coach Jung Hwan Jin.
So this isn't the normal Eagles
No,
backdrop that we see.
right, really nice posture throughout the form, like really looks clean and upright and strong throughout every movement. She gets a 7.53.
시작.
That down block has a bit of a weird path where if she was really doing a down block, that isn't how it would travel. So I think that's something athletes, when they slow down it into an 8 count, it's just a high block and a down block, but they tend to pull it out all the way out in front and then pull it out around. She kind of pulls the elbow and then pushes the punch out. So just think.
바로. 쇼. 차렷. 경례.
So that's Grace Rue from Eagle Taekwondo. She got a 7.53 and now higher and a significant jump for her, 7.67 for choreo. She'll finish with a 7.6. This is Naomi O. Naomi is from Arizona and she trains with Ruben Lawley and Megan Yee. Really precision oriented here. Like those techniques that all look like they're gonna cut with a knife. Really strong performance out from Naomi O. 7.87.
Wow.
Tying with our highest, Samantha Valdez.
시작.
Well, she got 3rd place, I think, at the Grand Slam last year in the cadet division, now here in the junior division for the first time. So we'll see. She had that massive score opening up on the first form. Kumgang, I feel like, is a form suited for her body well. She's able to stay grounded, show lots of power. Her kicks were great, though, in the first form, too. This just seems like a solid form for her.
Right, she's doing a really good job on those really quick turns. There was one transition that looked a little bit not as friendly for her. But the rest of them looking really good, pulling up for the most part pretty fast, and then able to transition to these real quick punch. And a real nice finish on the horse stance. A lot of the athletes have been a little short on one or two or all of them. But she's been able to really settle into those horse stance quite nicely. So she gets a 7.87 for the first one. Now look at this, 7.86. Now Samantha Valdez had a 7.77 on that. So Naomi O now into first place with a 7.865. This is Megan Lee from California. She's coming to us from Eagle Taekwondo in Southern California.
시작.
A little cross on that last stance, but Megan Lee was our 2020 junior athlete on the US national team.
She's looking nice and strong here, clean, good extension.
And she gets 7.47.
시작.
Power's coming through loud and clear in this first line of Kumgang.
A little bit of a curve in her back there.
바로
Nice power, good presentation. I like the hair. It's all great.
경례.
It's Megan Lee. She got a 7.47 for Taegu Sajang and now a 7.7 for Kumgang.
Yeah, I thought that first score was a little bit low. Second score, a little bit more on track here.
Yeah, she'll finish at 7.585. So here are standings so far. Naomi O now in first place, followed by Samantha Valdez, Ahana Mochandani, Caitlin Rake Luzado, Piper Kindle, Yuri Kim, Alyssa Shim, and Victoria Su. Now our cutoff is 7.615. That's nuts.
Again, this is a huge division, 39 athletes, and we're just 18 in.
준비.
It's Chara Flotildis from Apex Tigers Martial Arts in New Jersey.
시작.
She, of course, was our cadet U.S. team member at the World Championships in 2018 in Taipei.
We've had so many national team members already. Chara's the 19th athlete. I feel like I could count on two hands how many of these athletes have been on the national team, either in pairs or individual or team, depending on the year.
Yep, she gets a solid 7.53 for Taegu Sajang. That cutoff at 7.615 now. She's going to have to pump it up for Kumgang.
시작.
maybe a little bit wide, bringing those hands in to the setup for this 8 count. Nice direct on that draw. I really don't have very much to say for these ladies. They've all just been so good.
Pretty good speed and accuracy on those turns, so she finishes nice into that horse stance.
바로
That's Chiara Flotildes from New Jersey. She got a 7.53. Let's see if she
Sure.
pumped it up.
차렷 경례.
She gets a 7.67 for Kumgang. And just under 7.6 for her combined score. This is Anna Teo.
준비.
Anna is from Oklahoma. She trains at Golden Dragon Taekwondo under her coach, Wansu So.
바로.
She sets up really nice on her preset hand techniques, and she can really show a lot of power on the execution. She gets a 7.5. Real patient in her approach.
시작.
Outside of Taekwondo, Anna says that she enjoys playing the piano and solving math problems. I feel like that's good. That's opposite sides of your brain. I feel like math and music.
Some of us don't have that side of the brain, that wanting to hang out and do math problems side. Piano sounds fun though. She has like this really quick turn. Really trying to show off that tight movement right at the beginning of that turn. Look at that, really whipping around with the shoulders. Yeah, see how that shoulder goes really fast. It's definitely intentional. She's really trying to get off to a quick start on those turns. Can't wait to see how this plays out in her score. So she got a 7.5 and now a 7.47, a little bit lower on Kumgang. And she'll finish with a 7.485. Up next, we have Maggie Shiba, and Maggie's coming to us from Utah. She trains at Shiba Taekwondo.
시작.
Chair Shiba and Eileen Salzberg. Good height on her kicks. Maybe a little bit more length on some of these stances will help her balance.
Well, Maggie's mom sent in some info for her, and
Okay.
she both does sparring and Poomsae. She medaled at the last US Open in sparring. Get the score here.
I'm going to start off with a 7.34 for Sajang.
And Maggie hopes to one day make the US sparring team like her sister Grace. And Maggie and her sister and mother competed in that World Poomsae Championships Open tournament where they had the family team division. So that was really cool. And her mom says that Maggie has 2 older sisters, both black belts, and they're both currently working through COVID in the medical field. So thank you so much to the Shiba family, really. And Maggie also plays the piano. She likes to snowboard, she bakes, and she's an archer.
Wow, that was so much.
And she has a mischievous dog named Rocky that she loves. And Maggie has a wicked sense of humor, which she'll drop on you without warning.
Oh, that would be great. Well, first of all, I'm going to go back to the health care members of her family. Yes, thank you very much for keeping us all safe and allowing us to do a long list of activities like Maggie has. About the sense of humor, I mean, let's meet up at a tournament and start slinging some humor around. We all need a little bit of that.
Right. And where is Maggie from again, Coach Brand?
Maggie is from Utah.
Utah. That might be your regionals out there.
Could be.
Maybe Texas. I'm not great at geography.
She gets a 7.3. So that follows up her 7.34. So just a little drop between the two. So she'll finish with a 7.32. This is Claire Yee from California.
준비.
Claire trains with Just Taekwondo, her coach, Justin Wayne.
Well, Claire is really tall.
Yeah,
I feel like
she's
she's sort of like Connie, right? In that space
Right.
where it looked like he was going to kick the ceiling. She sort of looks like that at the top of the screen.
right. She has those nice high front kicks.
바로.
So Claire gets a 7.47. Now needs to turn it up a couple of notches to get over that 7.615 cutoff. Or at least that's what it was the last time we saw it.
시작.
That's right. I think it's still there. Kiara just missed it with a 7.60. So I think we're still hanging on 7.615. And we're just about halfway through the division, and that's what
Wow.
the score is already for the final cutoff. Well, Claire, outside of Taekwondo, enjoys designing and illustrating cards and artwork for different organizations. That's a cool, I feel like she should show us some of her designs. I feel like for all of the artists that we have, they should put their artwork up behind them for their virtual tournaments. So then when they submit their fun facts, like, oh, I do art or graphic design, like we could see it there behind them.
Yeah, that'd be great. They have that nice big bare wall right there. They can load it up. Nice punch to finish. Wait,
Hold on.
on the right-hand side of the screen, is that a piano? Is that?
Oh, it might be.
차려. 캐니.
That's Claire Yee from Just Taekwondo. She got a 7.47 and now a little bit of a drop like many of the athletes. That's 7.2. And she'll finish with a 7.335. This is Annabelle Tamayo Ibsen. Whoa, wait a minute, there's even one more name. Annabelle Tamayo Wittendorf Ibsen from Denmark. She trains at Gangnam Sport Taekwondo under her coach, Bodo von Muncho.
I remember her from the prelims, came out really strong. Nice reach.
Yeah, Denmark really creating a lot of good athletes. Really going for the hand technique power. The stance length could be a little bit longer to support that. She gets a 7.5.
Well, Annabelle is in the 8th grade at a sports school, which I don't think I've heard of before, but of course she's from Denmark, so I would love to learn more about that. She says when she's not training, she enjoys being with her family and friends. She started Taekwondo when she was 5, but started competing when she was 12. So that's a good 7 years of training before she started competition. And her family comes from Denmark and the Philippines.
Oh, interesting. I want to hear more about the sports school.
Right. That sounds so cool. I know in Korea they have Taekwondo as like, you know, we would have gym, but they also have Taekwondo as a major. So a lot of students will do it throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, and then even through college. And then many, of course, open dojos. But this sports school seems cool.
Just a little short on that ending. That's Annabelle Tamayo Wittendorf Ibsen from Denmark. She got a 7.5 for Taegu Sajang, and now a little lower, 7.37. Same thing happened to all the last 5 athletes in the division. She'll finish with a 7.435. This is Kelly Wang from California, training out of Eagle Taekwondo.
준비. 시작.
Really nice extension on the kick. She did have sort of like a hitch on the side kicks where you could see the chamber stop and then almost like her body tilted and then the kick went up. But it was a really nice line when she did get the kick up there.
But good volume on the hand technique for sure. Some of the stance work a little bit bumpy there at the beginning of the form. Let's see how it plays out. 7.6. She's gonna have to get up there a little bit more on Kumgang. Do you think she's gonna be safe, Miyako?
시작.
Oh man, I feel like with so many athletes still to go, we still have like another 15 athletes or something. I feel like a 7-8. That's not true. We only have a couple 7-8s. A 7-7 is maybe not even safe. Like we don't know who's coming up in the last 15 athletes.
She looks
I mean, I guess I can look at the list, but
looks good on this form here. A little slow on the turn just to make sure that she kept the balance. But then she did, so good job.
바로.
That's Kelly Wang from California, finishing up Kumgang. She had a 7.6 on Sajang.
차렷.
So let's see if she boosted up her score. 7.6, so close. So here are standings so far. Naomi O now in first, followed by Samantha Valdez, Ahani Mochandani, Caitlin Reclusado, Piper Kindle, Yuri Kim, Alyssa Shim, and Victoria Sue. Now the cutoff still at 7.615. This is Elaine Su from California, training with Eagle Taekwondo under Coach Jung Jin.
시작.
Well, she's looking very comfortable here moving through this form, but I think these pants are just a little wide for her because her stances look a little small.
And she gets a great score, 7.7. So all the athletes feel really comfortable on Taeguk Sajang.
시작.
Probably been doing it for a very long time. And Kumgang, they've all done it as cadets. So this is just a matter of what is today feeling like. It's a little high on this Haktari Sogi.
Right, I think in general, the Kumgang score tends to be a little bit lower, but some of our top athletes so far have been able to get a higher score on Kumgang, and that's, I'm looking at Piper Kendall went up, Yuri Kim went up, who else? Grace Ryu went up. Naomi O was very consistent, just off 1/100 of a point. Megan Lee really boosted up on Kumgang. Chara Flotildas. So let's see here. Elaine Su starting off with a high score on Sajang. A little bit of a rise and fall in that last spin, but held on to the ending of it.
차렷. 경례.
That's Elaine Su from California. She got a 7.7 and pretty good. 7.6 for the second. And she finishes with a 7.650. This is Yeon Jung.
준비.
Yeon's coming to us from Alabama, where she trains with her family at JYT USA.
Well, that cutoff had been a 7.615 for quite a few athletes there, but Elaine Su just got a 7.65, which is going to push that cutoff up higher. And here, Yuan really boosting up these kicks. She's very talented athlete.
Yeah, long and tall, really knows how to express herself.
바로.
And she gets 7.67.
시작.
We saw Yeon's sister Yerim in the Senior 1 division in the US Open back a few weeks ago. Did very well. The whole family does Taekwondo, and this is their family dojang.
She has a real nice smooth draw on those E counts on the Haktari Sogi. She looks very calm.
바로.
Little over rotation on the arm there at the end with a punch. We see that
시작.
commonly
경례.
with some athletes kind of over rotating the fist. She gets a huge score, 7.777. It's a lot of sevens. And finishes with a 7.720. Yeah, cutoff's going up. This is Tiffany Key from Eagles in California.
시작.
I think even with that huge score, that 772, Gyewon might only be in about 5th place right now.
Wow. Yeah, we started really high, so it's going to be tough to make this cutoff for everybody coming up now.
Right, Tiffany, you know, a lot of these ladies have been on the team before, so we're going to be cutting out national team members from various divisions here to get into the finals.
And she gets a 7.630.
We still have 12 athletes
시작.
after Tiffany. I think for a lot of the ladies in this division on those horse stances, when they do that stomp to the side where we can see their back, their hips are just a little bit out. So we're getting that curve, the C curve in the back that we've mentioned many times. We're seeing a lot of it here in Kumgang. Right there. We just need to tuck
Right
those
there.
hips under.
Right, we'll see that again on the way back out. You just want to, yeah, as you mentioned, kind of roll those hips underneath. Make sure you have that flat lower back.
It's like you're doing a crunch.
바로.
You want to just, you can either think about rolling the hips under or kind of crunching your abs in so that it pulls the front of your hips forward.
I think it's because the arms are so far away from your body, right? When you're doing that santomaki, that it kind of makes your back want to arch,
Yeah.
but you have to resist it. She gets a 7.53. It actually feels better when you don't arch your back. She'll finish with a 7.58.
준비. 시작. 바로.
And Natalie Hung gets a 7.57 for Tigit Sajang.
시작.
Well, Natalie got a pretty high score there on the first form. That 7.57 is actually really, really strong here in this field, although not quite making it into the finals right now.
Yeah, she's got to really do well on this form to pump up her score.
Photo.
Strong finish for Natalie Hong. Let's see how she does. She got a 7.57 for Tegasagan, which is a nice high score on any given day for sure. 7.57 is huge. She drops a little bit with a 7.37 for Kumgang. That's going to be a tough score. 7.47, such a good score, and yet under the cut. This is Embry Horsek. Embry is from Oregon. She trains at Happy Valley Martial Arts with her coach, Minky Song.
She looks really tall for this division, and I don't recognize her from past events. Look at those side kicks.
Yeah, and nice reach on the front kicks as well. She doesn't pack a lot of power into them, so she's really focusing on the extension. Same thing with the arms. So she's getting there. She's doing all the techniques correctly. Now it's just a matter of adding the power to the motion. 7.1 for Embry.
And I think a good point for Embry, I'm looking at the scores here, her accuracy is actually only off by a tenth, maybe 0.15 below some of the girls who went just before her. So it's really just the presentation. So her accuracy is pretty good here. Like you said, it's just getting to the point where she feels comfortable, can add some power in those hand techniques.
Yeah, and if you're just getting used to power, then Kumgang is a difficult form because you have to be able to apply it after those very quick spins and be very certain and intentional about it. So you're really going to have to hit this hard. Those movements there and that one as well. She looks a little bit better as she's going through this Poomsae, actually. She started a little hesitant on that first Hakdari Sogi. Oh, and came up a little bit on that one, but she's able to keep her balance. So she's doing a lot of things right. Now it's just a matter of turning on some power, really expressing herself through the contrast in the movement. So she gets a 7.2 for Kumgang. Embry will finish with a 7.15. Up next, we have Jisoo Park from Texas. She trains at Team Ford's Taekwondo with AJ Munoz.
시작.
Nice high front kicks. I think the first front kick, maybe she's bending at the ankle instead of really focusing on that ball of the foot. But nice compact body, able to put through some good power and stay low here.
Yeah, her structure, she can really put through a lot of power. She can really turn it up. 7.43. She's pretty grounded. So the sky's the limit as far as her really turning it up.
시작.
Jisoo is an A honor roll student at Capel High School, 9th grade campus, and a member of the school's drill team, the Silver Stars. And the school dance team performed a halftime show at the football game and has also competed in regional and national competitions. So it's a cool dance team and drill team, seems like. She's also played the violin for 7 years and auditioned for the high school all-region orchestra and was ranked first for the Philharmonic Orchestra this school year. That's a lot of things that she seems really great at.
Yeah, it's a lot of things to do well. Good, really kept her balance well threw out those Haktari, so he's at Jisoo Park from Texas. She started off with a 7.43 and now a matching one.
Slightly higher accuracy on this one by 0.03.
Wow. Here are standings so far in the round. Naomi O in first, followed by Samantha Valdez, Hanim Bochandani, Caitlin Reclusado, Yewon Jung, Piper Kindle, Yuri Kim, and Elaine Su. They're filling up those top 8 spots. Now are cut off at 7.650. Boy, who would have thunk it? That's pretty high.
Yeah, that's crazy. And also, there's a tie for 6th place. So we saw it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 8. So we'll see. We still have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 athletes left in the semifinals. The cutoff is 7.65. Who knows how high this cutoff is gonna go? Not me.
Well, it seems like all these episodes coming right down to the very end and everybody having to wait and see where they're falling. It's not obvious. This is Anushka Acharya from Connecticut. She trains at World Champion Taekwondo in Woodbridge with Henny Kim and Gunsu Kim.
A little bit quick motion there on those last 3 moves, but otherwise she moved pretty comfortably through that form.
And a 7.5 for Anushka in Pedok Saja.
시작.
Well, Anushka has been learning tennis since the age of 4. She's 15 now, and she is hoping to try out for her school's varsity team. I feel like that would be a big upset if she comes in as a freshman, maybe. Maybe she's coming in as a sophomore next year. I don't know how the East Coast schools are doing school. I think they're all virtual right now, maybe, so there might not be sports. But good luck with that. I hope you make the varsity team.
Right, tennis seems pretty safe to be playing these days, so nice
true.
outdoors.
A little bit up there. Even though she's standing up, she went even higher on that stomp and then dropped down into that horse stance. Maybe just try and angle it down instead.
We've seen so many versions of that stomp for sure.
Especially this episode with the guys doing it too.
That's Anushka Acharya getting a 7.2 for Kumgang. So she'll finish with a 7.35. Up next, we'll have Gahwi Kim. Gahwi's coming to us from Kim's Cave Taekwondo in Georgia.
시작.
Pretty good power here. Nice shoulder rotation on these hand techniques, not squaring up, but allowing the shoulders to push through.
Right, really, came off as very powerful form. She did a good job, 7.24.
시작.
Nice job here, especially doing this in a mask. I don't know how many takes she had to do in them to get this recording.
Yeah, that can't be, emphasized enough. These athletes that were wearing masks, they are really having a big challenge, right? Maybe they can do half the takes that they normally would be able to do.
Well, she's another athlete that in her spare time enjoys painting. So this isn't a home. I know we can't hang up maybe our own personal paintings that we do in the dojo. So next time, just submit your pictures of your artwork with your application. I don't know how that would work, but I want to see all of the artwork that everybody does.
And she gets a 7.2. I thought maybe a little bit higher on her Poomsae scores, but we are not the referees. I thought that she did a really good performance on Taeguk Sajang. She'll finish with a 7.22. This is Marlee Ganter, and Marlee is from World Champion Taekwondo in Woodbridge. She's the teammate of Anushka Acharya there. She trains with Henny Kim and Gunsu Kim. Oh, look at that reach. She's really trying to push up.
Yeah, and she's just 15, so right at the beginning of this age division, but looking really tall. Nice long legs. Good tempo.
Good job. Looking very confident out there. She gets a 7.37.
시작.
Nice clean pick up there, but maybe that knee just a little bit low. Getting some good power in those punches, the side punches, but with that power, maybe not quite able to stop the momentum of her body.
Yeah, I like the effort, but then the recovery is really tough, right?
Yeah.
Really holding on. A couple posture things throughout the form, but she's doing a really good job of holding on to these Haktari Sogis.
I like her spin too. Nice, smooth, quick, tight, and then opens up nice and wide.
It's Marlee Ganter. She gets a 7.5. Started off with a 7.37. So she'll finish with a 7.435. This is Sydney Moon. Sydney's performing in California, trained by her coach, Andrew Moon.
시작.
Another setup here. This one does look like a house, maybe with those blinds in the background that we can't really see, but just totally blocked off here, clear, so that we're totally focused on her. Ooh.
This is very reminiscent of one of our under 50 athletes, right? This space.
바로.
It'll come to us.
It'll come to us. 7.47 for Sydney Moon's first form.
We're actually seeing more and more people now. Oh, Sheena Kim.
Yeah, Sheena Kim.
Sheena Kim has those like red drapes.
Right. I was just about to say that.
But I feel like she was one of the first, yeah. And then the Team Forge in Texas has that one wall in the back of all the curtains. And it really does just give a nice clean look. Now we're starting to see these like 3-wall setups
Right.
blocked off.
Well, it makes Sydney really important in the space. We can focus on her without any distraction.
And she got a pretty good score there, higher than the last couple of athletes on that first form.
Mm-hmm.
Another different take on the stomp. That foot kind of just came straight up and straight down. We didn't get the kind of swooping kick motion before it comes down. So just take a look at all these stomps. Everybody has a slightly different take on a lot of moves here in Kumgang. Even though we're watching 39 Kumgangs, they're all slightly different. I shouldn't even say that. We're watching 39 of the junior females do Kumgang, and we watched 29 of the junior males do Kumgang. So you get even more versions of Kumgang.
A lot of Kumgang in this episode.
I don't think we need any more Kumgangs in the finals.
No, we need a lot more. So we have some good athletes coming up. I want to see all of theirs too. Yeah, Sydney Moon. She got a 7.47 for Taeguk Sajang.
차렷. 경례.
Oh, and the same. She got a pair.
It's the same exact score, their accuracy and presentation too.
Yeah, last time we saw that was Jisoo Park. Got a pair of 7.43s. Oh, you know how we talk about sometimes maybe having a Poomsae award for like most fiercest spheres and so on. Coolest environment. I'm gonna nominate Anika Tsutsumi for the most fun name to say.
Ah.
Tsutsumi.
What about
is a lot of fun.
Kalix Kalimlim?
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite names.
Oh yeah, those two definitely nominated for this category. So again, this is Anika Tsutsumi. Say that a few times, it'll just make you smile.
Tsutsumi.
She's from Virginia. She trains at US Tigers under her coach, Dennis King.
바로.
And 7.53, she's gonna have to boost it up here to make the cut.
I think that cut right now is still sitting at a 7.65.
시작.
Lots of power here. A little bit small on some of these horse stances. Looks like maybe she's trying to go through nice and quickly, but because of that not quite locking out some of the stances in there, just a tad small. I like this dojang though. Look how big it is.
Yeah, it's huge. Maybe just a little wider horse stance. She might feel a little more comfortable. And just staying low there on those transitions, that would help a bit. Because you see that big drop there to the horse stance. So we want to stay the same between the Haktari Sogi and the Juchun Sogi.
시작.
That's Anika Tsutsumi
차렷.
from
경례.
Virginia. And she gets a 7.47. Same score as Sydney Moon. And she'll finish with a 7.5. Up next, we have Megan Cho.
준비.
Megan trains in Illinois with iTiger Taekwondo under Bo-Young Kim.
시작.
Nice power on those side kicks. Wow. She had a nice high extension, good alignment, and then just tons of power at the top of those side kicks.
Good timing. Really giving herself a chance to really express the power without rushing. And she gets a 7.66. That's important.
Yeah, that really is. That is right there, just above the cutoff for right now. But this Kumgang is going to be so important now. Megan enjoys playing pickleball with her family on the weekends. Pickleball. I don't think I could tell you what pickleball is. Is it like squash?
I think it's
Or
more
tennis?
like tennis with a smaller racket and more fun rules. Smaller court.
Well, she's playing with her family, then it's probably always a good time, probably a little competitive, but I'm sure lots of fun.
She's really picking her moments where she wants to throw that power. Coming up a bit on the Hakari Sogi, so she just needs to be careful about that.
She got a bronze in last year's US Open in individual for this division. So let's see here if she can make it into the final. She's right above that cutoff with the first score, but this Kumgang score, she needs to be above a 7.65.
Oh, look at that. A pair of 7.66s. It's starting to feel like a poker game or something. We got a pair of this and a pair of that. And we need athletes to finish with a 7.66. Here are our standings so far. We just have a few athletes left, I think 3, right? So in first place, Naomi Oh, followed by Samantha Valdez, Alhane Mochandani, Caitlin Reclusado, Yuan Zhang, Piper Kindle, Yuri Kim, and Megan Cho. Are we down to 3, Miyako?
Yeah, we have just 3 left. And we just got that new score, the new cutoff. Megan got that 7.66. And then there's that tie again for 6th place at that 7.685. So let's see if any of our last 3 athletes here can try and sneak into the finals.
Up next, we have Zoe Adams from California.
시작.
You know, Miyako, I don't know if you've thought about this recently, but back in the early days, 2006, I think you were just a teenager back then.
I was.
Yeah, 2006 to 10, it was clear that many of the athletes either knew the standards or they did not. It was like, you know, a huge difference when we saw competitors at events. And now it's like everybody knows the standards and everybody looks strong in a division like this, where in the early years it was clear the information wasn't spread across the country like it is now.
Right. Well, and these athletes too, I feel like just start at such a young age. Zoe, for example, started training Taekwondo when she was in 1st grade when she lived in Hong Kong. And so what's nice now is that all over the world, if you're doing WT Poomsae, the standards are the same across the board, across countries, right? So it's not like in one region you do a 5 count, somewhere else you do a 2 count, somewhere else you do a 10 count. It's the same. So you can go anywhere. She could learn in Hong Kong, move to the US, and then have it be the same. And that's really great.
Right. We owe that all to our first World Championships that kind of set the tone. And, you know, it was a big call to everybody to kind of get on board and become aligned with the standards. Zoe doing really good here. She had one small balance check on that back line. Doing really good here.
Zoe also enjoys reading Murder Mysteries by Lisa Jewell.
Chậm. Set. Fan.
And Zoe gets a 7.2 in Kumgang. And she'll finish with a 7.35. So now we have two athletes left in the division. The first is Yul Kwan.
준비.
Yul is from California. She trains at Martial Arts in the Team M Community Program. She trains with her coach Sungwoo An and An Hui and Long Win.
I remember her hair from the prelims. It's so cool.
Oh, right. You had mentioned the cool contrast.
Hello.
A nice, steady, strong performance from Yul Kwan. And she'll get a 7.3. And I think you said you were going to do your hair just like hers for an event.
You know, if I was in high school still, I probably would. I remember I did a demonstration in high school when I was a freshman with a couple of senior guys, and they were, you know, the cool seniors, and they were like, we're gonna dye our hair red. And I was like, okay. So I dyed my hair bright red, and then they didn't do it. So I feel like Yul would have been the cool person who would have done it with me. She has a good stop to her techniques on those mountain blocks. Once she hits it, nothing else is moving. So that's a nice finishing position. We just have to make sure that it's nice and low to the ground. So maybe bending her knees a little bit more in these horse stances, so that because we have that kind of picture, right, when she freezes, it has to be totally accurate. We just need her to be a little lower in right hand position on those side punches.
Right. I always think we want to be as balanced as we can on those. And sometimes we don't realize how high we are. Just need to take a look in the mirror, a quick check. Just from day to day, we have to remind ourselves to get down there a little bit more. That's Yul Kwan from California. She received 7.3 for Sajan.
Show. Cadet. Junior.
And another 7.3. She had really good stops on some of those quick turns. So she's going to finish with a 7.3. And our final competitor is Sarah Reskansky. Sarah's from Connecticut, trains at World Champion Taekwondo in Fairfield Town. Their coach, Gunsu Kim and Kwanjin Ha.
Maybe just a little bit stiff in some of her motions, not letting them develop all the way through. She's shooting some of those hand techniques just a little bit early. But very solid performance here, and a nice first side kick there.
Yeah, she gets a 7.24. So she really started off with a lot of power, and that was great. But after her kicks, which she threw nice and high, she just had a little trouble with the recovery of those into the next stance. It's nice that she was trying to shoot up super high on that one, because she only got one chance with a kicking form and out of Kumgang.
Right. Well, Sarah is part of her high school's engineering team, where they compete against other schools in STEM challenges. And she says, from Sikorsky Aircraft. I don't totally understand that. I don't know if they're engineering little like aircrafts and planes, drones, maybe.
Maybe.
If you don't tell me, I'm gonna guess that you're making drones, you're engineering and coding them.
Maybe a spaceship.
Let me know when you need somebody to go to Venus.
Commercial jet. Oh, a little leaning forward on these horse dances. Easy to do, so we just gotta take care on that one as well. Little combination, lower back arch and leaning forward on a couple of them. But she's really trying to turn on the power, even in Kumgang. So both of these, she was really putting it on pretty high gear. So good for Sarah Ruskansky from Connecticut. So she started off with a 7.24 and now a 7.17. Like many of the athletes, a drop in Kumgang. She's going to finish with a 7.205. In a mini semifinal rounds, that would have been enough to get to the finals, but unfortunately not on this one. Here are standings at the end of the division. Naomi O in first, followed by Samantha Valdez, Ahana Mochandani, Caitlin Requisado, Ewan Zhang, Piper Kindle, and a tie with Yuri Kim and Megan Cho. That cutoff being 7.66. Wow.
Well, that was a really exciting division, long division here with both of those junior semis. And I think we're all done now with this division. We'll have to come back for even more Poomsae on another night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.